This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Let's go!
Welcome into another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. We got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, the season wrapped up in Buffalo this past weekend, where the Patriots fell 35-23. It was a tough game. We'll get into that first. We're going to be talking about the season in general, just kind of some general thoughts we had on it. Previewing the offseason a little bit, talking about some recent news that just came out probably about an hour ago, and our thoughts on a bunch of stuff just coming up in the next couple months. So I'm here with my co-host, Jace Campbell. How's it going, Jace?
It's good. It's good. A lot of exciting news. I wish it was, Patriots playoff news. And, we had a game to prepare for this week, and this was a pregame show. But the season's over, and we're already into some actually really exciting progressing steps for this team that we'll get into in a long off season ahead, that we'll have tons of things to talk about. And, if the off season's going to be if it's going to be exciting like it has been already, I think this is some of the most exciting news Patriots fans could have had in the first week of the offseason. Then I think we're in for, a big offseason with the draft, with the free agency, with the cap space that we have. And hopefully it continues to be like that. But we got a lot to talk about, starting with the game. And, honestly, it sucks to see the Patriots lose the way they did. I think obviously the big thing is going to be the kickoff returns and the special teams play and how that killed us. Offense looked really good at times and was kind of head scratching at how they're moving the ball against a really good defense consistently. But then again, just too many mistakes, killed yourself. And ultimately Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs kill you and make the big plays when it matters. But fun game to watch. I really did think that New England had a chance there for a minute, but kind of just slipped out of their grasp towards the end, and a little, they just don't have the explosiveness to keep up with Josh Allen when they need to.
I'm waiting for the Cam Accord special teams firing announcement as well.
Yes.
We'll see. We'll see about that. But no, I mean, it's tough, really. The Patriots, you take away those two special teams touchdowns, the momentum of the game is in such a different spot, and it forces the Bills to be a little more one-dimensional, and you never know what could have happened at that point. So it really is unfortunate that this is how they lost, because I really believe if you don't let that momentum start with those kickoff return for touchdowns, both of them, I think this Patriots team has a chance and they sneak in the playoffs. And if you just beat Buffalo, maybe you can make a run. The offense looked good in the first half. I think we saw a lot of things that we haven't seen consistently this year, and they couldn't put it together for 4 full quarters and enough to only put up 23 points. So I think it's a great picture of the Patriots season, though. Just not doing enough things as a whole, all 3 phases for 4 quarters to win football games. And we saw this time it was the special teams that let them down. Most of the year it's been the offense. Sometimes it's been the special teams. Defense has had its ups and downs, but mostly been really the rock of this team. And if we have a consistent offense going forward and can do a couple things that we'll talk about in this episode a little bit later, then this team does have a future and it does have some hope. But overall, it's just, there's a lot of things that need to be done. I don't think Kraft is happy. Belichick's not happy. Nobody's happy with the outcome of this season. Some good news, like we said, that's a great start. We'll touch on that more. I don't want to keep bringing that up, but it's kind of goes into this a little bit. We won't stay on the Bills too long, but because that game is over and it doesn't matter as much anymore. But yeah, I thought the Pats played good. I thought there were some overreactions to a couple different players' performances. I thought people saying that this was on Mac Jones need to stop smoking so much crack. 3 picks, 2 of them tip balls in the air. One of them was absolutely, you can't argue, was his fault. Damian Harris literally threw it into the air and it got caught. The Hunter Henry one was 3rd and 19. Yeah, I mean, he took a shot to the end zone.
If he would have thrown a check down, do you know how many Patriots fans would have complained?
Exactly.
It's 3rd and 19. Why are we throwing a 5-yard pass? Like, come on, guys, be realistic. So, yeah.
Exactly. So, and then the Aguilar one, I don't know. You could argue, don't throw it up to Aguilar. I probably wouldn't, because he sucks and he never, same thing in the playoffs last year. He didn't go up to get the ball like Parker would. It was almost like if Parker was out there, that's probably a catch and maybe a touchdown. It was Aguilar. And maybe you don't throw the ball. That's the thing I could argue, but I wouldn't put at least two of those interceptions on Mac. I thought he played a great game. I thought one of the better games he's had this year for the most part. Offense still had its ups and downs in general, but overall, I thought we saw some progress from this game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at the box score. I'm looking at it right now for really the first time since the game, just not doing the podcast and not wanting to relive it. But New England outgains Buffalo by not a lot, but by 14 yards, 341 to 327. Mac Jones throws 3 less passing yards, and obviously the interceptions are going to be the thing that kills him. But he throws really accurately, and someone said it in the chat. Let's see, where is it? Right here. Ashton, Mac and Devontae Parker look the best they've looked since what was
that game he popped off?
Yeah, and then
100 some yards.
He battles injury and stuff, but we saw the Devontae Parker that we thought we were getting throughout the year, and we always knew that injuries were going to be a problem, and that if he can stay healthy, he can be a really good receiver. This is his first week back coming off of the concussion since Arizona. He has a really good game, and I hope that this is just a stepping stone for Mac Jones and Devontae Parker into next year, and hopefully adding an offensive coordinator takes that to the next level. But Devontae Parker is a very capable receiver, and this is the connection we saw between him and Mac in training camp, and we heard all about it. All Mac loves throwing up the jump balls to him, and Devontae Parker's going up and getting it. And it sucks. It's week 18 that we're really seeing this, and we're really saying, "Oh, Devontae Parker, this is what we wanted." Like, it should have been happening earlier and more often, and hopefully more consistent next year. But to see that with Mac Jones and Devontae Parker in a game that you probably shouldn't even have been in the first place. When the opening kickoff happened, I guarantee you a lot of Patriots fans were like, "Oh, this is going to be a blowout."
Oh yeah,
whatever. Yep. And Mac and
me as well. I was one of those Patriots fans.
I think I was too a little bit. I was like, "Oh gosh, is it going to be like that?" But you have a little bit of hope in the offense, and we talked about this all year too. How ironic is it that this might be, and I haven't done the stats, right? But Mac Jones throws 9 play action passes. You know what he was on those 9 play action passes?
9 for 9.
9 for 9, 92 yards, 10.2 average, 1 touchdown. Is that ironic? No, we've
like they should have been doing that all year, like we said.
We've been seeing games where Mac Jones been taking 2 or 3, and they only throw 2 screen passes. Now, that's a little bit unlikely, but I think you heard it over and over again from the broadcast booth. Tony Romo said it. I do think the Patriots started to find an identity towards the end of the year, but how is it taking 15 or 16 weeks for New England to find an identity? That's why the Matt Patricia thing is so crazy to me. And obviously we are hearing rumors that he's going to be gone, and it sounds like it's going to happen, which is the best of both worlds. But I really do think this offense hit stride the last 2 weeks when all hope was lost, and there was 9 for 9 for 92 yards, a touchdown off play action passes is what we should have been doing all year, Matt. That's one of Mac's strengths, and that's what the Patriots have always been good at. So it's crazy to see our offense does really, really good this week, and we start doing stuff that plays into our quarterback and our offense's hands.
Just a quick thing on Tony Romo. I used to, when he first started, I loved his commentary and his perspective he brought to the broadcast booth. But his lips have been sewn so tight to Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes' ass. It's unbelievable. And it's horrible to listen to when you're playing against them, because all he did was kiss ass for Buffalo the whole broadcast. And it was just like, oh God, here we go again. I almost wanted to turn the volume off. But no, I agree with you. It's just, this is not the time when your offense should start clicking. And we couldn't even put it together the whole game. This is something that starts first 4 weeks of the season, is the extended preseason. After that, you should be starting to get on a roll. And 2 months ago is when we should have been really starting to hit our stride. And that's just not what it's been. It's been really ugly, really tough. And guys, we see all your comments about special teams, the OC play calling. Excuse me, MVPs of the year. We're going to get into that all shortly. So stick around for that. But this offense just wasn't it this year. It didn't pull its weight. The defense had to score, 7-8 touchdowns defensively, the set a franchise record. Judon had a hell of a year with 14 and a half sacks, something like that. Duggar did well. Marcus Jones. We had a lot of really good performances by a lot of individual players, and just the defense as a whole unit, which was surprising. I think our secondary stepped up a lot more than we expected it to before the season started. We thought we were coming in with, I mean, honestly, if you take out Miles Bryant, he got picked on so much this game against Buffalo. It doesn't matter who he's covering. Anytime I see the back of 27's jersey, I know it's going to be a big play. And that's what we saw. I think it was against John Brown he was covering. And then just all the time in key situations, Josh Allen was like, all right, where's 27? Throw it at him because he's not going to do anything. So I get it. I know he's supposedly an instinctual, smart player who's good on special teams as well, but he also had an open field tackle on that kickoff return for a touchdown, got trucked, and then he scored a touchdown. So he can't play defense. He can't play special teams. He can't tackle. He can't cover. I'm not sure why he's on this team, and getting a corner in the draft or whatever is going to be a great step to kicking him down the totem pole and hopefully not seeing as many snaps for him.
Yeah. And the play to John Brown, as incredible of a throw and catch as it was, you're sitting in zone coverage, and zone coverage don't let no one past you. And he sees him coming across the field. I don't know if he thinks he's going to stop and he's going to run to the sideline or something, but we talked about, he is so, well, he's not so. People talk about his strength is how smart he is in football. It's not his athleticism. It's not his speed. So you're already putting yourself at a disadvantage by being in front of the receiver. Now you just let John Brown, who's a blazing fast receiver, and Josh Allen throw it 20 yards over his head and go get it, and you have no chance of catching it. That was one of the ones where it's like, well, he's supposed to be this super intelligent football player. Why is he allowing this to happen when he knows he's not going to keep up with John Brown? So
just real quick, if that's the only thing that matters, why is Belichick not out there on an island?
Right.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? It's not just about your football mind. You got to be able to do some things athletically as well. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, no, it's just there's you still see the Patriots out there as good as they played, and this might have been as well-rounded of a game as they played, and it was still very, very flawed. And that's why ultimately you don't win, and it kind of wraps up the Patriots season. As good as they played, you still see why Patriots fans and us are crying for more talent on this roster, because coaching can only take you so far. And we have a great scheme on the defensive side of the ball. The offensive side needs to get better, but Miles Bryant can't be out there multiple plays and, for an extended period of time and be your starting nickel corner if you want to make a Super Bowl run. And you're probably not going to win a Super Bowl with all these wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3s, because you're going to rely on them to have these big games over and over and over again. And in the NFL, consistency is key. And I don't know if they can do that. So it's just, you saw the talent gap between, obviously Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs out there, even Dawson Knox, you see Jordan Poyer and those guys running around the field making plays, Tre'Davious White. There's just an obvious talent gap between the Bills and a lot of teams in the NFL, but especially the Bills and the Patriots. And that's why going into this offseason, it's so critical to add more talent to this roster, more players that, separate that gap and, even the playing field a little, because it's going to be hard to compete with Buffalo for the next couple of years.
This is a big year, and this is going to be hopefully a turning point for what we've seen this team be the past 4 years, past 3-4 years. I know Kraft and Belichick had a conversation reportedly. I know they're on the same page. We saw the announcement. Bill cannot get away with trying to do the things he's done in the past of undervaluing talent, thinking that you can just get a bunch of smart, solid to average football players and put together an offense that's going to put up enough points every week to compete with Buffalo, Kansas City, San Francisco. Like, it's just not the case. Cincinnati, you can't do that anymore. You need weapons. You need offensive talent. Like he says, this is what I don't understand is he says this more than anybody. Players win games. And if you don't have the horses, you're not going to win as many games as you should. I think this roster offensively has a decent amount of talent. We need more weapons at wide receiver, obviously. I think that's something that we all agree on. Defensively, we have talent at certain spots, but overall, I'd say we were not super talented on defense either. We got Duggar, we got Judon, we got Barmore. Uche's flashed as a pass rusher, but still on the edge. Dietrich Wise, he was solid all year, but I don't think anybody's over here saying, "Oh my God, you got Tre'Davious White, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer." Like, you can just go out and list a bunch of these guys on Buffalo and San Francisco. You got Nick Bosa, and it's just Fred Warner. There's superstars, and
Yeah.
I think it's amazing what this coaching staff was able to do with the pieces we have on defense. So if we can add to that offense, add to the weapons on offense, and just get more talent and improve the coaching staff around the offense, I think this team can be headed in a good direction. But you can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results because it's not working. It's just not.
If you could take the talent, or if you could take the coaching on the defensive side of the ball and translate it to the offensive side of the ball, like not one for one, but if you had a coaching staff that could elevate each player on the offensive side, our offense would be so good. I mean, we have enough good quality players, but you don't have enough superstar players. You don't have that one guy that scares a defense. You don't have that one left tackle that's not going to, get your quarterback killed, or you don't have that solid offensive line that's just going to allow you to pound the rock and then throw play action passes off of it. You don't have that on the Patriots, and you don't have the coaching staff that elevates them to make you a good enough contender in the AFC or the whole league. So it's hard, but I mean, I think that we both predicted New England to be at 9-8. And I think we could have seen them going 8-9 just as easily as we could have seen them go 9-8. It was kind of a toss up. There's a couple tough games in there, and there's a couple losses that you look back on and they kill you. I mean, the Bengals, you have that one wrapped up if you don't fumble right there. You have the Raiders one, obviously, that's going to kill you. I mean, there's a couple games, and this can easily be flipped. The Minnesota one is probably the best game we played all year, in my opinion, and you get screwed out of a call or two right there. And so, I mean, as bad as you played and as sad as it is to be sitting here at 8-9 and not making the playoffs, you're still in enough games to at least make the playoffs. But I still don't think with a couple more of those victories that you say, oh, this team's a title contender, and you're still very far off. Maybe the best thing for the Patriots was to suffer some of those losses because you feel good and say, hey, we're in games, but there's enough bad to make changes on the roster and on the coaching staff. And that would have been the worst thing, is if we beat Minnesota, if we don't choke the Raiders game away, and now we're sitting at 10-7 going in the playoffs. And now you're saying, oh, maybe Matt Patricia and that maybe we're good, right? Like, this team needed an overhaul on off the offensive coaching staff. And even though it sucks to not make the playoffs again for the second time in 3 years and stuff like that, it might be the best thing for this team in the long haul.
Yeah. And I mean, I wanted to win that game bad on Sunday. Like we talked about beforehand, like, obviously, getting a great draft pick, but then I turned the game on and I'm watching the Patriots, and it's just in my DNA to want them to win bad every game. You know what I mean? That's what you want. And once the game was over, it was a little bit depressing, but you flip the page and you're on to the draft, and we got the 14th pick. I thought it was going to be worse than that. Seeing how everything was falling. I mean, everything was going the Patriots' way to make the playoffs. Everything, and then the last day, Miami and the Steelers won.
Pittsburgh, yep.
So we
Washington winning helps us because they would have finished.
Yeah, they upset the Cowboys.
7,
I
8,
don't know.
and 1. Yeah, so
I don't know how that happened, but
I know
that. So this episode won't be the draft talk episode. Tony, I'm sorry, but
I wish it was. I'm all ready for it.
We will be getting into it. I got a lot of catching up to do for Jace because he's a college football fanatic, and I have watched about 2 games. So he's going to be probably giving me some lessons on some of these players as well as you guys. So that'll be good. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's good because, like you mentioned, we were in some of these games. We had chances. If we didn't make some stupid mistakes, we'd be in the playoffs. We were bad enough and stupid enough as a team with a bunch of mistakes to where they are forced to make this announcement that we'll talk about and bring in some new faces and overhaul the offensive coaching staff and really try to be a better football team. And they also got the 14th pick in the draft. So I was hoping we'd get top 10 if we were going to be, obviously you want a high draft pick. But 14 is not that bad. It's the best we've had since like 2000 something when we drafted Gerard Mayo at like 10. So I'll take it. I love draft time. It's going to be super exciting seeing who falls to that point. Probably Belichick will trade back to 29 and take a offensive guard that was projected in the 4th round. But hey, we'll see. We're gonna at least have a fun time pretending that we're gonna take somebody talented that we're all excited about. So we'll get to talk about those prospects. But yeah,
let's hop into kind of the next. I mean, unless you have,
yeah.
do you want to?
No,
We don't need to do good, bad, and injured, right?
no.
I mean,
That's fine.
we'll jump into the next one, but we kind of have breaking news, and I mean, you guys maybe have heard it by now. If not, we'll start with the Patriots announce a long-term extension with Gerard Mayo. Now, this comes just hours after Carolina request to. There we go. Get the music going. After Carolina
we
request,
had
to
confetti
interview
for a
him.
little while, but I don't know. I don't know where
We don't know where it went.
No.
So, but he gets a request to be interviewed by the Panthers for a head coaching job. He had multiple other interests as a defensive coordinator. He had head coaching interests the last 2 seasons. So Gerard Mayo's been a topic of discussion for teams as either a defensive coordinator or a head coach in the league. And obviously with the Rooney rule, if he were to get hired as a head coach somewhere else, New England would get a 3rd round comp pick. But I think it's the best that he's staying with New England. And it sounds like they're going to work out an extension.
Absolutely. Yeah. Karen Garigian, or however you pronounce the last name, just reported that it's not done, but they're getting closer. So the deal is certainly getting closer, which obviously they wouldn't have announced it if it wasn't coming. So I was shocked. There's a comment up here. Let's see. Yeah. William says this is so out of the norm for the Patriots. The OC search news is not normal. I was shocked. I mean, you don't ever see the Patriots say something like this and come right out and make an announcement. So that gives me hope that maybe they're serious about this change and that they want to turn this around. I mean, Kraft's not happy. He wants to turn this around. Belichick's probably not happy either. So, Luke, what's up? How's it going? I'm pumped. I like Mayo. I think he's done a great job with this defense. I think he's a smart, instinctual. He was a smart, instinctual football player, and now he's been great as a coach. And I think he's a great leader of men. He's good with relationships with different players, and they know he's been a part of the game. They respect him. They respected his game. They respect his knowledge of things, and he's been a part of this defense forever. So I'm super excited about him sticking around. Hopefully it's as the DC. I hope he gets that promotion.
Yeah.
Stays here as the DC, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is the heir to Belichick. I don't know.
I would love it.
I would too. I don't think there's anybody better on this staff who could replace
that's
him
exactly
right
what I
now.
was going to say. Unless they bring in Bill O'Brien, then there might be a little thing, but I don't think anyone after this year feels comfortable with Patricia. I think anyone feels comfortable with Joe Judge. I think there's a couple other young. I would not feel comfortable with.
That's why we're
Belichick.
That's why we're getting into OC. Patricia's the head coach now.
Gosh, yeah. So I think he's Patriot guy. I would love it if that's kind of in the works, but I think we'd have to see how he is as a defensive coordinator. But I have all the faith in the world, and I think if you give him a couple, I think he did good with the linebackers we had this year. It's one of the better years. We obviously didn't improve at that position through the draft, but we got Mac Wilson, Raekwon McMillan played really well. I think he's been a great linebacker coach, and just having him on this defensive side of the ball and the staff is a very big positive because the defense was clearly not the problem this year, and keeping that the same is going to be a big deal. So I really like this, news of him looking to stay in New England, and New England actually, being adamant about retaining him.
Yeah, I thought this was huge. So I was super excited about that when they announced that an hour or so ago. And then OC, that's obviously huge. I was really concerned that Belichick was going to use this last game and use some of the highlights of the offense and say, hey, look, if we just do another offseason of this, we're going to be good and we'll fix it. I heard some people saying that, it's probably easier to fix the things that they have to fix now instead of installing a whole new system and then learning that, mastering that, and then working through the fixes of that. At the end of the day, he's not an OC. He doesn't know how to run an offense. He doesn't know how to call an offense. He doesn't belong in that spot. And I am so happy that we are actually going to invest in the offensive coaching staff, get an OC. Hopefully it's not some dumb hire. Hopefully they're serious about it. Hopefully they just don't say, Adam Gase, he was part of something like this before. Let's bring him. That's my fear, is that they're still going to find a way to add the Belichick spice to it and bring in somebody that everybody would not want. universally. So all these guys that we're talking about that we're excited about to be OC candidates, hopefully they take those guys seriously and bring them in, and hopefully it's one of them because this offense needs a tune-up. This offense needs some spice to it and some modernization. It needs to be more modernized and to keep up with today's NFL and today's offenses. So I'm excited to see what they got up their sleeve. Hopefully it's going to make us happy.
Yeah, let's talk about some candidates here for a minute. Lucas, do you guys think bringing in Bill O'Brien or Cliff for OC will negatively affect our chances at D-Hop? The news, if you haven't heard, Cardinals part ways with Cliff Kingsbury after 5 years. Now, this is weird because he's getting a ton of money from Arizona. He does not have to jump back into coaching right now. Like, he is signed through 2027 with Arizona, and there's going to be weird stipulations, like Tony says in the chat, that if he gets hired as OC, he might lose some of that money, but he doesn't need money. He had plenty of money from Texas Tech. The dude's done everything. Money's not going to be an issue for him. It's going to be if he wants to jump right back into the NFL coaching world right after he just got fired. So do I think that it hurts New England's chances? I don't. You always see the odds. Right now, New England's the second leading odds to land.
They always are for wide receivers.
Exactly. So how realistic is it already? Now, we know Bill Belichick wants or he loves DeAndre Hopkins. We all saw the clip this year, like of him, and we all know what happened when he had high praise for Hunter Henry. He goes out and gets him. So there's obviously going to be some stipulation. Personally, I would think that there's more hatred towards Bill O'Brien than Cliff Kingsbury from DeAndre Hopkins because of Bill O'Brien trading him for a second-round pick and a washed-up David Johnson. I don't think D-Hop and Cliff Kingsbury were the problems in Arizona. I think it rooted from Kyler Murray and rooted from some of that general manager situation. So I would think that Cliff Kingsbury coming to New England would give New England a better chance at DeAndre Hopkins than Bill O'Brien. But again, I don't even know if that's an option in the first place. We have heard this with Odell Beckham Jr. We heard it with Deebo Samuel. We heard it with tons of other guys. Like, I mean, it's just Devontae Adams last year. We've heard this. Until I see it, I don't know what's true or what's not regarding New England trading for a wide receiver.
That's how I feel about it. We've never seen the Patriots do that. Like, I was having a conversation with somebody on Instagram, and they were like, well, I mean, they did the same thing with Randy Moss. And I was like, okay, yeah, that was 16 years ago. 16 years since we've acquired a true wide receiver one.
Yep.
That's a long time. That's a long, long time. And look what it did for our offense. I think it could do something not as crazy because it's not Tom Brady and Randy Moss, but Mac and DeAndre Hopkins could be really special for this offense, especially incorporating a new head coach, offensive coordinator. I agree. I think DeAndre Hopkins and Bill O'Brien have a little bit of beef. I think the problem in Arizona was more Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a Kingsbury Hopkins thing. I really think if you bring in Kingsbury, I don't think that really affects your chances one way or another to bring in Hopkins. And it's a guy that Kingsbury knows how to utilize, obviously. You know what I mean? Hopkins has put up big numbers. I would love to see Kingsbury and Hopkins come into this offense. I think it would be quite the refresher, more of an air raid type offense. We'd see how they'd incorporate the run game and all that stuff, but I would be super excited about that. I think Hopkins would absolutely change this offense. It would be the thing we've all been asking for, a true wide receiver one. I know he's a little bit older. I know he doesn't have as many years as a guy like maybe Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is young, but Jamar Chase, that A.J. Brown for the Eagles. But it'd be somebody, and it'd be the first time that we've got a weapon. And this is what the formula for success is. How many times have we talked about this? Probably in your third year as a quarterback, your third season as a quarterback, acquire a top tier wide receiver and watch the offense get 10 times better. That's what we've seen with Tua and the Dolphins, with Tyreek Hill. That's what we've seen with Joe Burrow, with Jamar Chase. That's what we've seen with Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown. We have seen this trend all across the NFL. A wide receiver one makes such a difference, way more than it has ever in the past. And that's what this offense needs. Get a wide receiver one. The only thing that gives me a little bit of hope is, like you said, he has so much respect for Hopkins. He knows how hard it is to cover him, to deal with him. I know we're going to be let down because we always are. But this is what they need to do. If they really are serious about making changes and they really want to turn this around, you got to do something different. You can't keep going back to the same script of having nobody on offense and thinking it's going to score 40 points a game.
Yeah, and Tony asked, doesn't Cliff run a Kingsbury or doesn't Cliff run an air raid offense? 100% he does, but that's what the NFL's going to. Tua, Mike McDaniel this year developed into an air raid offense. I mean,
James Conner still had big numbers as a running back for Arizona. Like, it's not
most
like
of
they
the
only
best,
throw the football.
most of the air raid teams are really good at running the ball because it spreads out a defense and you have to cover more grass. You get the wide splits by receivers. You have to remove linebackers from the box more. You have to sit in a too high shell with safeties because you're worried about someone burning past you. The air raid offense opens up the run game a lot more than people would assume it does. Now, if you get an air raid style offense, you have to have a guy that can, like a receiver that can run the air raid style offense. So getting
you don't get Kingsbury and not get a wide receiver. You know what I mean?
And Tyquan Thornton has the speed to do it, but we haven't seen it yet. Now, maybe Cliff Kingsbury can unlock his potential. If you re-sign Jacoby, you can have a good route runner over the middle, but you go get a true number one wide receiver if you're really converting to the Cliff Kingsbury air raid offense, if he's one of your options. So I actually ran a couple stats on Cliff Kingsbury, geeking out when I heard he got fired and the possibility. I would love Cliff Kingsbury as offensive coordinator. The number one reason, not just because of his offensive scheme and his track record as a play caller, it's because he has developed quarterbacks and developed offenses continuously at college and NFL. The Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray were the best offense through 8 weeks 2 years ago. And then Kyler got hurt and they had a downward spiral and it's never been the same since. They were the best offense through 8 weeks. They were undefeated. They kind of had a fall off. But listen to this. He starts at the University of Houston as the co-offensive coordinator and QB coach. Houston led the country in points per game with 50 points per game and nearly 600 yards of total offense per game. Okay, so the year after that, what does he get? He gets hired by Texas A&M when Kevin Sumlin goes from Houston to Texas A&M. He coaches the Heisman winner Johnny Manziel in his first year and led the SEC in rushing, passing, and scoring per game. Okay, so now he stays there for 2 years. He goes to Texas Tech. He gets a head coaching job. Who does he choose to start as the quarterback in his first game as a head coach? A true freshman walk-on in Baker Mayfield before he transferred to Oklahoma. Okay, that's his first game ever. You tell me the balls of a first-time head coach to start a true freshman walk-on in your home opener at the college football level? I promise you that's not going to happen.
Tony's already convinced.
You're going to, okay, now here we go. In 2016, as Texas Tech's head coach with Mahomes, the number one offense in the country, 566 yards per game, 463 of those were passing yards per game. Now, obviously, you're dealing with Patrick Mahomes, okay? But they're averaging 43.5 points per game. And then the next year, Mahomes last year before the NFL, they averaged 579 yards per game, so 13 more than what they did, and 45 points per game. So the reason I love Cliff Kingsbury is not only because he's going to bring his air raid style offense and he's going to be able to, bring fresh ideas to what we've seen the offense being. It's, I want someone to develop Mac Jones. I want a quarterback guru, and Kingsbury is exactly that. And not that Bill O'Brien isn't, but Bill O'Brien has not been as successful as Kingsbury, in my opinion. Now, he's has more experience in the NFL. He has more success in the NFL. But we all talk about, do we want to see the same boring Patriots offense, or do we want someone to come in with outside ideas and really push this offense to what we're seeing in the NFL? So I'm 100% on the Cliff Kingsbury train. I don't know if it's likely, but I'm 100% on the Cliff Kingsbury offensive coordinator train for New England, because I think he can develop Mac Jones. What better to come in, have an unestablished quarterback that you can really put your stamp on and maybe get another head coaching job in 3 or 4 years if you really take this Patriots offense and Mac Jones to the next level. It's for me, it's a no-brainer if you can make it happen.
The only part that concerns me a little bit about Kingsbury is his record post-Thanksgiving has been horrendous. And our team in general after Thanksgiving has been pretty horrendous the past few years. So I don't know how great of a mix that is, but also he's not going to be the head coach. So I think it's going to be a little bit different.
It takes stress off of a play caller as a head coach. Like,
absolutely,
he's a head coach and a play caller. You got so much on your plate.
Absolutely.
If you just say, hey, work with Mac, work with this offense, you don't have to do anything else.
Agreed.
Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. He'll do this. I think he'll be great at it. So I'm all on the Cliff Kingsbury train. I'm still on the Bill O'Brien train. I'm not jumping off the Bill O'Brien.
Oh yeah,
train,
no,
but
yeah,
I think Kingsbury is a no-brainer that no one expected him to be, well, maybe people did expect him to be fired this year, but once it became official, you got to explore it. You got to see if there's a way to bring this guy in.
absolutely. He's number one on my list. Billy O'Brien is number two. I would be very excited about either one of those guys. So that would be great. I don't know. I'm hoping that we don't do something internal or something weird and hire somebody. I think those are the best two candidates. I don't think it's close. I know the Rams have their quarterbacks coach. I think he's been
Zach Robinson.
Zach Robinson's been one of the guys who's been mentioned as well. That'd be interesting.
Right. Under McVay, a quarterback guy.
Exactly.
Same thing.
Exactly. And if you could bring in Kingsbury and then have this guy be your QB coach as well, I mean, talk about coaching staff transformation. That would be incredible. That's my dream list. Bring in Kingsbury, Robinson, D-Hop, draft the tackle in the first round. There we go. Offense is 20 times better already. Like that would be
it's
amazing.
Too good to be true, right?
It is too good to be true. But I would be so if that happens,
we're dreaming.
We will be coming on this podcast and be the happiest fellas in town. So
yeah.
I would
one more candidate, and I don't think there's been any rumors of this, just a guy that I think's an outsider that I think's a great play caller and a great quarterback developer. And it kind of goes into what Tony said, where he's talking about like in Gase or Frank Wright or some of those guys. I'm a big fan of Dan Mullen, and a lot of people will have a bad taste in his mouth because of how he finished at Florida. But just talking about him developing quarterbacks, he coached Alex Smith to a 10-2 record at Utah. We all know Alex Smith gets drafted number 1 overall. He coached Tim Tebow to 2 national championships, a 44-9 record as the OC and quarterbacks coach at Florida. He coaches Dak Prescott and Nick Fitzgerald, who are number 2 and 3 in school history at Mississippi State in passing yards. As Florida's head coach, he coaches Kyle Trask, who had a really solid college career. And then in 2019 and 2020, his offense is the 28th and 13th best in the country, averaging over 330 yards per game and 40 points. So I don't think he's an option at all. But the point of it is I want someone to come in that has a history of developing quarterbacks. And I mean, that's just one example is Dan Mullen. I mentioned Cliff Kingsbury's credentials. Zach Robinson, obviously coaching under McVay, having developed quarterbacks. I want someone more than just a great play caller. I want someone that can develop Mac Jones, because I really do believe that this third year, we talked about his second year being a really important year. I think this is the most important year. When you look at Jalen Hurts, Tua, you look at guys that made that jump after their sophomore year, this is the most important year in my mind in Mac Jones, especially after what happened this year.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I got the same feelings about that. Just this is such a crucial year for Mac. It's going to be his third OC in 3 years. You've got to surround him with the right pieces and the right coaching staff. If you want this guy to be the future, he's got a great opportunity to do that here. You got to surround him with the right pieces. There's no more screwing around with him. No more screwing around with his development. Get him the coaching staff, get him the pieces, and see what he's got. And if he doesn't have success under a great OC, a great quarterbacks coach, and an added weapon at the wide receiver position, that's a true number 1 receiver, then guess what? We know, okay, Mac Jones isn't the guy. You wipe your hands clean, you go back to the drawing board.
Yep.
You go after a veteran quarterback, you go after a guy in the draft, whatever it is. But you got to find out, because like you said, and like some of the comments say, his 5th-year option is coming up. You got to make a decision after this next season. So it's a huge year. It really is. You got to make the right choice.
Yeah. MA football guy. That was Dan Mullen. He was Florida's former head coach. He's an analyst right now for Fox Sports or something, but he's been out coaching for like 2 years, but he's had a long track record in college and stuff. I don't even think he's an option. Just the point is I want someone to develop a quarterback. And like you said, like we get a new offensive coordinator in here and Mac Jones isn't the answer. We try to fix him. We give him receivers. It's just, he's not the answer. Well, now you have an offensive coordinator who you believe in, and you say, who do you want now? Okay. You couldn't fix Mac Jones. We gave him all this options. Who do you want? Whether that's a free agent or whether that's to draft someone, then you let the offensive coordinator pick his guy. But I stand by this. I know you stand by this. I firmly believe if Mac Jones gets an offensive coordinator and gets weapons around him, that he can be the franchise quarterback. You got to give him a chance to excel. And that's what it's looking like this year, at least with the offensive coordinator position. But you got to give him a chance to excel because he's shown enough flashes where if you give him the talent and give him the scheme, he can do good. And if you fix him a little mentally after this year, fix some of his flaws, I really do think he can be a very solid quarterback in this league. I'm not saying he's going to be a Josh Allen because those guys are unicorns in this league, but he can be a solid quarterback that will win you games and give you a chance to win Super Bowls. And I firmly believe that. And that's why I'm excited about this offensive coordinator news and stuff like that. So
I just added a poll up. If you guys want to vote on that, give your thoughts. Give us your thoughts. We want to see what you guys think between the new OC, Billy O'Brien, Cliff Kingsbury, or Zach Robinson. So go drop your thoughts on that. But yeah, it's a big year. It's an important year. And part of this important year, part of the plan we just talked about is getting that number one receiver. So DeAndre Hopkins, obviously, he's expected to be traded from the Cardinals. He posted on Instagram that he's grateful, blah, blah, blah. Derek Carr also being traded from the Raiders. We don't need to talk about that because Patriots do not need a quarterback. We don't need a more expensive Mac Jones. What would you give up for DeAndre Hopkins? What do you think is a realistic package? What would you be willing to go to get a guy like this? He needs a contract extension after this. He's probably going to need his contract reworked. What would you give up for DeAndre Hopkins?
So ideally, because of his age and the contract, I would hope that it wouldn't be a first, but I think that they will want a first, which I'd be willing to give. I'd be willing to let Mac Jones at least experiment with DeAndre Hopkins. I'd be willing to give him our first this year. I would hope it would be like, if it was a second and a third, I'd do it in a heartbeat. If it was a second and a young player, depending on who the player is, but if it really was a first round pick, it's not ideal. It's not like you're trading for AJ Brown, who is going to re-sign with you, and he's got 4 or 5 years still left in his prime. DeAndre Hopkins is still a great receiver. We just don't know when he's going to hit that cliff. But I'm willing to do it for Mac Jones. It's not ideal, but if that's what it takes to bring in DeAndre Hopkins, I would do it.
He went for a second and a fourth 3 years ago, which was highway robbery. Highway
robbery, bro. And that's like in his prime, he's dominating with Deshaun Watson in Houston. That's crazy.
I would give up a second and a third.
I'd do that in a heartbeat, 100%. I just don't know if that's what Arizona's going to want.
A second this year, a third next year. I would give up the first next year because I think it'll be worse. Or I think it'll be a higher pick as far as like not closer to 1, closer to 32. If we trade for D-Hop, I don't know if I'd give up the 14th pick. I think that's maybe if you trade back, but D-Hop is getting traded before the draft because of contract or cap implications for Arizona. Yeah. So I don't know if I'd go as high as the 14th pick. Maybe if we get a pick back in return, I don't know as if it's going to cost that much. He is getting older. He does need a new contract. I think a second and a third should be enough for a guy like him right now. In this situation, when he's getting traded, it's not like there's different leverage. I'm pretty sure he has a no trade clause, doesn't he?
I can look that up.
I could be getting baseball and NFL mixed up, but I feel like he has a no trade clause, so we can kind of help that out a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
He has a no trade clause. He's got a little bit of leverage there where if he wants to go to the Patriots offer a second and a third, I think that should be enough. So I would love that. Do that. Extend him, not to a ridiculous spot, but you got some cap space this offseason. You got to use it on a wide receiver. If you got to end up trading Jonnu at some point, or just Aguilar's not coming back. Jacoby probably isn't coming back if you're getting DeAndre Hopkins. But think about that. DeAndre Hopkins, Kendrick Bourne, Tyquan Thornton, Devontae Parker. That's a pretty solid 4 compared to what we had this year.
Yeah.
I love Jacoby. I want him back. But if it means getting DeAndre Hopkins,
you probably let him walk.
I'm sorry, Jacoby. You're not going to get – if he wants to come back here for $13 million a year and be here next to DeAndre Hopkins, and then we trade – I don't know. We don't even have anybody who's expensive at wide receiver right now. So after Aguilar's gone. So yeah. I don't know. If you trade Jonnu or somebody, we'll look more into cap stuff and maybe next podcast. But I think it's feasible. I think it makes all the sense in the world. And you can't keep doing the same thing, like I said, over and over again. You got to switch it up. You got to go out and get a number one receiver for your rookie or third-year quarterback, your young quarterback. See what he's got, because you got to make a decision soon. And this is the perfect opportunity. There's nobody in the free agent class. We talked about this. There's some guys in the draft, but you're going to have to wait to develop. And we haven't been great at that. Get the guy who you know is a for sure number one dominant wide receiver, still catching balls one-handed, making ridiculous snags, keeping his toes in. I mean, the catch he made against us, that was out of bounds in the back of the end zone. Ridiculous. This guy's still got it. Trade for him. Get a number one receiver. You got to do it. If not now, when? There's nobody else. There is nobody else available for trade right now. I saw somebody said Jerry Jeudy. I've seen people say T. Higgins. I've seen people say Brandon Ayuk. No, I'm tired of going to these second-tier wide receivers. Get a wide receiver one for your quarterback, or you don't give a shit about really changing this offense.
Yeah, and I was actually going to bring that up. I think that there will be some surprise people that will be available for trade. Brandon Ayuk's on the last year of his contract on his rookie deal, and I think that he might be a little bit too expensive for the Niners after paying Deebo Samuel, some of the guys that they have coming up on contract. So obviously DeAndre Hopkins number one. I think Ayuk is a unique player in what he can do. He's not as good as Deebo Samuel, but he's Deebo Samuel-esque. He's very shifty. He's a great route runner. He makes contested catches. T. Higgins would bring another big-bodied receiver. So these are great options, but again, these guys are great on their teams because they have number one receivers that take the, attention away from them. You have Jamar Chase and even Tyler Boyd, and then you have Brandon Ayuk, you have Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. So I'm not against these guys, but then again, you're trading for probably another really, really, really good wide receiver number two that might not pan out as a wide receiver number one. So I'm interested to see who else. I know people talked about Brandon Cooks. I'm past Brandon Cooks. A lot of people want to bring him back. I'm past him. I know he's young. I don't think that it's what this offense needs. I know he's a good quality receiver, but I'm not sold on. I would rather have Brandon Ayuk. I'd rather have T. Higgins than Brandon Cooks and stuff. So if DeAndre Hopkins doesn't work out, it's going to be a bummer. I hope that New England's at least aggressive in pursuing him. There were reports that they were aggressive in pursuing him when he first became available from Houston, and that they offered Jamie Collins or something.
They always fall up short, though.
So that's the thing is, I mean, what are they
were interested in Diggs, and they fell short on that offer, and look what that's done to them. It's fucking killed them. Pull the trigger for once.
They fell short of Justin Jefferson in the draft too.
Exactly. How many times have they fell short on wide receivers? Get the fucking guy. Get the wide receiver one. And if you got to overpay, who cares? How many draft picks don't work out in the NFL? Get your guy. Go get him. That's all I got to say on it. It's going to change the offense if you get this guy. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, and he's a great route runner. He's a big-bodied receiver, and he has experience in this league. I think that getting a young receiver with Mac Jones is beneficial, but not more beneficial than getting an experienced, successful receiver in the league like DeAndre Hopkins has been, and a guy that can really take you to the next level. And I really hope that, I mean, just for once, right? We can just wish for once that New England goes out and makes a trade for a guy like this and an immediate impact player. But again, we've said it. We talk about this year in and year out, and we hear about guys that are rumored, and it never happens. So until I see something like this, I don't think we should get our hopes up, because it happens every year.
I'm already so excited, and it sucks because I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to be pissed. We're going to come on here and vent about it, and this offense isn't going to change when you don't invest in it. You got to invest in it. There's no excuse. He's a very talented player. Belichick respects him. He respects the hell out of Belichick. I don't see any reason why this should not be a top priority for the Patriots. I really don't. Unless they're asking for your first this year plus more.
Yeah.
That's where you got to obviously draw the line at some point. But if they want a second and a third, if they want even maybe a first next year and they throw you back a third round pick, take it. Just go get a guy. You got to find out what's more important to you. Finding out if you have your real franchise quarterback and improving your offense, or taking more shots on these tier 2 wide receivers and not really having a true idea at the end of the season next year if you should pick up the 5th-year option, who Mac Jones is, who T. Higgins is, who Brandon Ayuk is. I want D-Hop. Very, very top of my list. Down quite a bit there. T. Higgins and then maybe Brandon Ayuk. D-Hop is such a difference maker. There's nobody in this offseason that you can put above him. It's just there's nobody in his category.
And he's actually on a pretty dang good contract. He's making $19.5 million this year, and in 2024 he'll make $15 million. You know how many, like, Aguilar's making $15 million. Freaking Nelson Aguilar's making $15 million for us this year. So you go out and you get this guy, and if you want to extend him for another year or two, then you can have him depending on how he plays and, you know, what his health status is and stuff. But it's a friendly contract. Christian Kirk, who had a great year this year, but is not nearly the player as DeAndre Hopkins is, was getting $22 million a year. So you're getting a good veteran receiver that is on a pretty dang good contract. And I can't think of many ways that New England can spend $19.5 million better in the offseason this year. If you're going and acquiring him and you're adding that to your payroll, you're still going to have enough money to go sign a tackle or someone, maybe not that Orlando Brown or Mike McGlinchey type of tackle, but you can still go make some things work. But DeAndre Hopkins, yeah, you can draft one. Exactly right. Because if you take a receiver here, maybe it's more obvious you take that. If you don't give up your first round pick, you take a tackle at 14, or you take a corner at 14. There's a lot of options if you take a receiver, and it just frees up another spot that you can draft and you don't really have to worry about. Because like you mentioned, Devontae Parker as a wide receiver 2, very exciting for me. Kendrick Bourne as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, very exciting for me. Like Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. Yeah, Thornton, right? Being able to blow the top off of a defense.
That wide receiver mix makes me so happy as opposed to what we had any time recently.
It makes me very excited because now the focus is not on Devontae Parker or it's not on Jacoby Myers. It's on DeAndre Hopkins. And then these other guys are open to make plays, and Mac Jones just has to find them and has to have the scheme around him to make the reads and get the ball to him. So I think that it's a very intriguing options, and we'll continue to talk about it until New England either does or they don't. And then we'll continue to talk about it and how frustrating it was, or how exciting it was that New England went out and got this. But we'll see how it goes. It's just, it makes too much sense. A lot of things make too much sense in New England's, scheme of things, and then it never ends up happening. So it could be one of those off seasons that's really exciting. It could be another disappointing one. And this, until it happens, I really don't know how reliable we can say this is going to happen. We can talk about it all we want, but just haven't seen it.
We have had, how many times have we talked about this, where when the defense goes in the week planning for the Patriots, nobody on our offense scares or threatens the defense. You get DeAndre Hopkins, that mindset changes immediately. That is the sole focus of the offense, or for the defense game planning wise. It opens up things for everybody else, like you just kind of mentioned. There's nothing bad about trading for DeAndre Hopkins. Go get him. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. When's the last time Belichick has made a true trade that's made an impact? Like what? Gilmore? Was that even?
Yeah.
Was that a
no?
trade,
We
right?
signed
Free
Gilmore.
agency. Free agency.
Yeah, we signed Gilmore. There's got to be someone we're missing, but I can't think.
Mohamed Sanu?
No. Heck no. Heck no.
I honestly don't remember. I can't even remember the last time. So I don't know. I get the whole wide receiver in the draft thing, but how many times have we talked about this and we never do it? And if we do it, we draft the wrong guy and it doesn't work out. Get the guy is a guy. Go get him. That's it. Simple as that.
Yeah. Carlos says they can easily get Quentin Johnston. I think Quentin Johnston's gone by 14. I mean, he had a bad showing in the national championship. I still think he's the number 1 wide receiver. I think he's gone. I think Addison and Smith and Jigba are definitely available at 14, but this is not the strongest wide receiver class. It's not Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. It's not Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. It's not. Like, these guys are dang good receivers, and I'd love to have them.
Johnson to, like, as a recent wide receiver, like talent wise, like what do you think he's going to end up as?
I think he can end up AJ Brown, but I don't know if that's right away, right? Like, you're talking about he's going to come in, and I think that he has AJ Brown like ability. His body, he's a big 6'4" receiver. He runs very well. He gets in and out of his breaks. I think he can be AJ Brown like. So if he's there at 14 and you don't take DeAndre Hopkins, he's a no-brainer for me. But then again, you're relying on Bill Belichick drafting him, taking and developing him, and utilizing him in a way that we've never seen Bill or the Patriots do with a rookie wide receiver. So that's where it's a little bit concerning for me and wondering if that's going to work. You're looking at DeAndre Hopkins. He's been in the league since 2013. He's had 6 1,000-yard receiving careers. His most was he had 2 1,500-yard receiving careers, a 1,400-yard receiving year. And then outside of his first year, when he hasn't played 16 games, are the only times he hasn't gotten 1,000 yards. So last year he played 10, and then this year 9 with the suspension. But he still had a very good year this year, 717 yards, 11.5 yards per catch on 9 games played. Like he was very, very productive this year. So I still think that this is an elite guy, and you just can't compare a guy like this that can come in and make the immediate impact like a Quentin Johnson or Smith and Jigba. Now, maybe those guys are better in the long run, but I it's got to be priority number one, in my opinion, to go at least try for DeAndre Hopkins. And then if not, you fall back on taking a young guy like Johnson, Smith, and then Jigba, Jordan Addison.
I'd be surprised if Johnson's there, just because people reach on receivers because teams know how valuable they are.
Yes.
Except the Patriots. Everybody else understands how valuable a top receiver is. So I'd be surprised if he's the first one off the board and he's not gone at 14. That'd be kind of surprising.
Well, and you look at the teams ahead of us. I'm just pulling up the draft order so I can scroll down and talk about it. I fully expect Chicago to trade back, and I don't know how far they trade back. They're a very wide receiver needy team. Now, they could also trade for DeAndre Hopkins, but they're a wide receiver needy team if they trade back from number one. If they get into, the 6 or 7 range, say they trade with the Raiders or Carolina because they want the number 1 pick. Houston has 2 picks ahead of us, and they're probably going to take a quarterback at number 2. And then before us, they draft at number 12. They need a receiver. Tennessee needs a receiver. They draft at 11.
That's my biggest one, honestly.
Right? I mean, Atlanta
I know they just drafted a receiver in the first round, but they still need more help.
Atlanta needs a receiver. Now, they took one, and they probably need a quarterback a little bit more and stuff. But there's going to be teams ahead of us that I feel like they're going to reach for a receiver. And we know this, there's going to be teams that are going to trade up for one. Chris Olave got traded up for last year. A lot of other guys are going to feel like, hey, if New England really is looking to take a receiver, teams are going to try to jump us. So there's already 3 or 4 teams that I can see, depending on how Texans? The board falls. Yeah, Texans. I think Houston seriously
Brandon
looks
Cooks
at a receiver.
Traded.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure, right? And John Mechie will come back. There's going to be a spot for a receiver there. I mean, there's been a lot of people saying that they're probably going to go, if Bryce Young, if they were at number 1, they would have went Bryce Young at number 1. And if Chicago stays at number 1, then maybe they get him at 2. And then Quentin Johnston at 2. But if Quentin Johnston goes at number 11, then do they go Jordan Addison or, Smith and Jigba? If he plays all year and not just 3 games, he's probably the best receiver, the clear-cut number 1 guy in this class because of how well he was last year with Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson on Ohio State's roster. So is someone going to be willing to take a shot at him because, he could test very well? So there's still a lot of unknowns in the draft. And I'm sure
he'll shoot up by the end of the process.
Yeah. Ultimately, I just don't know if I trust Bill to take and hit on that wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't either. That's why you just go get the guy. Go get the guy that is it. Yeah, I know it's gonna be the worst. It's gonna be the worst. I'm not looking forward to that, but maybe we'll be shocked. Maybe this offseason will be the best ever. Maybe we need to have some hope. We're gonna trade for DeAndre Hopkins, get a new OC. We're gonna trade up in the draft and get some star that we're all excited about. I mean, it's gonna be the offseason. This is our offseason, guys. We need to change the mindset. Maybe it's the negativity. Maybe we need to be more positive.
Yeah, that's got to be it.
The day after DeAndre Hopkins gets traded to not the Patriots, though, I'm on here and I'm going to be pissed. So it's going to change real quick.
Emergency pod wherever and whenever he gets traded to about us either venting or celebrating. So
I'm praying this to us. Please.
Yeah, please. Mike asked, would you trade for the Falcons tight end? I'm assuming he's talking about Kyle Pitts. This dude was the number 4 overall pick 2 years ago. And although
I don't know, he trade him.
I don't know why they would. He's on a rookie contract. He still has his talent is no question. They had a very big problem at the quarterback position that I think that they need to address free agency or in the draft. And I mean, the dude was talked about as a generational tight end talent. I mean, you just don't see tight ends taken 4th overall, and he legitimately was taken 4th overall for a reason. So I don't see them trading him, but if he was available, I mean, that'd be incredible. So
I agree. I don't think it's realistic. And we also have 2 tight ends already taking up a lot of cap space and snaps. So we'd have to probably trade one of them. I would assume Jonnu in that instance, just because he's more of the same type as Pitts. Pitts is a better route runner. But Red Patriot asked if this would be like getting Randy Moss or AJ Brown if we were to trade for DeAndre. What would this mean for other wide receivers? I find it hard to compare anybody to Randy Moss.
yeah.
One of the most dominant wide receivers in NFL history. AJ Brown, I could see more to that. I don't think him and DeAndre Hopkins are the same type of receiver necessarily, but they have some similarities for sure. I would compare it to an older version as far as the talent wise of an AJ Brown or a Tyreek Hill, or like DeAndre Hopkins is on most people's list a top 5, at worst top 7 to 10 wide receiver. I would put him probably top 5. When he's on the field, he is ridiculous. I mean, that dude is different. He is. And he would make such a difference for this offense. What it would mean for Jacoby, he probably wouldn't be back, seeing how he's a free agent. Kendrick Bourne wouldn't really mean anything for him either. He'd probably just get more snaps because we're going to get a new OC and he won't be in Patricia's doghouse. So that'd be great. Imagine that. That's such an exciting group of wide receivers if you have DeAndre Hopkins with Kendrick Bourne, Devontae Parker, and Tyquan Thornton to complement him. I know we just talked about that, but geez, that sounds amazing. With an improved line, you draft the tackle early or a corner and get a tackle in the second, something like that. Like, that would be great. I'm really excited for this offseason, and I hope they don't let us down, because they have an opportunity to really make some great moves to improve this team and to make this next season one where we actually compete for the division and really compete for a deep playoff run. I believe they have the opportunity to do that if they make the right moves this offseason.
Yeah, it's
really it's
really
crazy, but I really do.
Yeah. I mean, and it's one of those ones that it's make or break. Like, if you don't make very many adjustments, and I think that the Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick conversation that they had was progressive. Obviously, we're seeing stuff that they already haven't done. It's already being progressive. But if you don't make changes this season, you ruin Mac Jones probably. He probably won't be the answer if you at least don't give him a chance. Kraft is going to be that much more. Belichick might just be out and be in the doghouse. Who knows what the future of this franchise is? If you keep missing on draft picks, if you just don't spend your cap space and get younger or more talented, it's going to be, who knows where this franchise will be. And so it will be interesting to see. And I really do believe that this is a make or break off season, and it's something that's really big. But let's do a quick ad break from Underdog. And then when we get back, we'll just answer a couple more of your questions. And then we've already been on for an hour, a little over an hour. So we'll start wrapping up, but let's do an ad break real quick and get those questions coming in the comments, and we'll answer a couple of those before we hop off. Real quick, guys, we'd like to thank today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. With Underdog's NFL Pick'em, they make it super easy to win big on any given night. They have individual player props or daily fantasy and are legal in 41 of the 50 states. Right now, they are doubling your first deposit up to $100 when you use code PATSDRIVE or use the link in the description. All you have to do is select higher or lower and submit your wager for as low as $1 to win anywhere from 3 times to 20 times your money. You can also compete against thousands in Underdog Fantasy's daily fantasy tournaments, ranging anywhere from football to baseball to basketball. Whatever sport it is, there's a tournament for you. Now with Underdog's Pick'em Insurance, you can still win money even if one of your picks does not hit. So head over to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app. Make sure to use code PATCHDRIVE or use the link in our description to get started today. All right. Thank you to Underdog Fantasy for doing that. If you guys have not done that, go ahead and do that. They've been great to work with throughout the season. And although football season is over for the Patriots, there's still playoff games. There's going to be tournaments. There's going to be NBA, MLB, stuff like that. So go do that. Cole, you got one you want to answer? Maryland, tell me why a former head coach who is known for coaching running QBs would be a good fit for coaching a Mac Jones-led offense. Are you assuming Bill O'Brien is who do you think she's talking about?
Kingsbury, maybe? I mean, Kyler, Mahomes, Baker. I
wouldn't classify Kyler as a running quarterback, and he didn't draft Kyler. Oh, actually, he did draft Kyler because he said that if he had the first overall pick, he'd take Kyler Murray. For me, I don't think that you had as many designed runs as Kyler Murray in the open field like you have with Jalen Hurts or like you have with Lamar Jackson or some of those guys. His offense was the best. Mahomes isn't even a running quarterback. Like you're talking about a running quarterback, you're talking Lamar Jackson.
Mac Jones ran a faster 40 than Mahomes. Just keep that in mind.
Yes, he did. So Cliff Kingsbury is not known for running his quarterback. Now, when you have guys that can run the ball like Kyler Murray, you use it. You have a Jalen Hurts, you use it. But if you weren't in here when I just talked about Cliff Kingsbury's stats, he has been known to throw the ball down the field. His air raid offense when he was at Houston, when he was at Texas A&M, when he was at Texas Tech, he's been known to throw the ball more and more. And yeah, he runs a hell of a lot more than Mac, but everyone's going to run a lot more than Mac Jones. I mean,
hey, what do you mean? Mac Jones QB power this week.
That's true. Playoffs. That is true. But Cliff Kingsbury has not made his money off of running the ball with quarterbacks just exclusively. He's made he's made his money throwing the ball down the field, being an air raid style offense, and he's had quarterbacks that can run the ball that he's been able to do it with. But he will have no problem with Mac Jones coming in, or if he came in and having Mac Jones be his quarterback, he'll have no problem. I mean, most offensive coordinators don't want to run their quarterbacks because of the injury risk. It just adds another element to your offense when you have that.
To answer Maryland's question here, this offense is not designed like the Ravens offense, like the Bears offense. It's not designed around the quarterback run and the run game. It's designed around being an air raid passing offense. But when you have a guy like Kyler Murray, who has the arm talent and the leg talent, you'd be stupid not to use that when it helps you. And like you said, it's not a bunch of designed runs for Kyler. It's more scrambles when a play breaks down. And when you got a guy like Mac Jones back there instead of a guy like Kyler Murray, you're not going to call those design runs, obviously, and you're going to know who you have back there. And Mac Jones is plenty mobile enough to run an air raid system without having a problem. You don't need to necessarily be this crazy mobile running quarterback. That's not who you need to be to run a passing system. So I think he would be a great fit. I really do. I don't think there's going to be any problem there. I don't think his history of having Kyler Murray as his recent quarterback is really going to affect things, or Patrick Mahomes, because Mahomes, yes, he can make those throws on the run that are crazy that maybe Mac Jones can't make. He doesn't have the same arm talent Mahomes has, but mobility wise, he ran a faster 40 than Mahomes. I still think Mahomes is a little more mobile. Maybe just more athletic, but Mac Jones is not Tom Brady back there. He can move around. We've seen that. We've seen him avoid pressure and make some runs. And although he can't slide because he just does, he looks like a baby deer trying to take his first steps when he slides, but he is mobile enough to move around a little bit. And I don't think he'd have any problem in that system.
His pocket presence and awareness and mobility to slide, step up in the pocket, avoid pressure is very, very good. He has good feet. He has good recognition of his pocket or of what the pocket is doing if it's collapsing and where to escape. So I personally, I don't like to see quarterbacks run. Justin Fields can't throw the ball. He can't. Look at the last game. Yeah, he's a dang good runner, but Chicago has the number 1 overall pick. Can't throw the ball. Okay. Lamar Jackson, how many times has he been hurt the last couple of years after his MVP year? Robert Griffin III, how long did he last in the league? It's just running quarterbacks to me don't win you games. And I don't think that Cliff Kingsbury or many offensive coordinators want to hang their hat on that type of offense. It can work in college, but I just don't think in the NFL that is a recipe to success. But when you have guys like Mahomes, like Kyler Murray, you're going to have read options in the red zone. You're going to put the pressure on a defensive end and make him try to tackle Kyler Murray. And then obviously they're going to be able to scramble and get more yards than Mac Jones, but they don't hang their hat on that. I don't think that that's what he wants to do. And obviously if he were to come to New England, that's not what he would do. So that's interesting. So I still and always believe in Mac Jones. I mean, until he gets a fair chance, I think we all should. We can be critical of him, but we all should. So
I believe in Mac as well. Let's kind of maybe one last thing here. Everybody's asking about the Mac Jones story. Yep. I've seen a lot of people say it's Chris Sims. They don't put any stock into that. I think Jason and I talked about this for a minute before we got on. I think there's parts that are believable about it. I know Mac was frustrated. I know Mac Jones wants to win. I wouldn't be surprised if he was trying to get ideas and bounce them off people that he trusted. This offense was horrible. It needed help. It clearly needed help. I don't think Mac Jones is a devious guy. I don't think he's looking to cause drama. I like Mac Jones a lot. I think he's competitive and wants to win. I don't know how much stock I put into the story. I don't. I think it's probably a little bit fabricated to get some more clicks, and you got to consider the source.
Yeah, I 100% think that he's trying to make it a bigger deal than what it is. Now, Mac Jones was visibly frustrated game after game and multiple times, so I don't doubt that part. I doubt, and I'd like to know who he reached out to and what the extent of it was. Obviously, we probably won't know any of that. I don't blame either side. I don't blame Mac Jones if he was reaching out to, a good friend or a trainer or something, just bouncing ideas off. I also don't blame Bill Belichick because the Patriots have always been an in-house organization that, you don't get anything by Bill Belichick. And I think that that's led to a lot of success, that there's a lot of trust in that building. So I see it both ways. I think that the story is getting blown out of proportion and it's not as bad as what people are making it and what Chris Sims and Florio wanted it to sound like. Obviously there could be different stories that come out and there could be more to it, but I don't think that it's as bad, like you said, that it's going to, be a problem going down the road, especially if Bill addressed it. And I think Mac would listen to him and, he's not going to be, like you mentioned, devious and just go off course. I think that there's going to be, some trust, especially if you go hire a good OC for Mac Jones. He'll start believing again. And he'll want to be in this organization and he'll have some faith. So
yeah, no, I agree. The guy from the Globe tweeting that Mac requested a trade and that Matty P had already been fired. Press often wants to be first and or break the story. Exactly. I mean, I don't think Mac is sitting in there demanding a trade right now. We all know things need to change. We all know things need to be better. That's their job, is to create flashy headlines. And like she said, like Marilyn said, be first on a story. That's what a lot of people want to get. But reliability is such a small thing nowadays where it's so hard to know who to trust unless it's coming from one of the big, like Mike Reese, like maybe Jeff Howe, some of those guys, unless it's coming from one of them or Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter. I wait for a bigger source to confirm a lot of things. Like, you never know. I mean, we saw it. I know we keep relating back to baseball, but Arson Judge to the San Francisco Giants. Did you see that?
I didn't.
No.
Oh, wait. No, I did see that.
I was going to say there's no way.
No, I saw it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So what's his name? What's that reporter's name?
Oh my gosh. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Not Passan, not Jeff Passan. The other guy. Oh, shoot.
Anyways.
Oh no. Anyways.
I was thinking of the Tom Brady one, right? Like it got leaked that he was retiring before he even said anything. And I get it. Like once Schefter gets a hold of it, but that goes to the point that Marilyn just said, like people want to be the first to leak stuff and it comes and they don't care what it comes at. So you remember his name?
Yeah. John Heyman. He
Heyman.
Tweeted Arson Judge. Obviously it's Aaron, but Arson Judge to the Giants seems to be a done deal or is a done deal, whatever. So he was reporting that Aaron Judge and the Giants agreed to a deal. And then 10 minutes later, he said, oh, apparently it's not completely done yet, blah, blah, blah. He's still whatever. And then the next morning, Aaron Judge to the Yankees. It's like, so even a reporter as big as him, he's one of the biggest guys in the MLB. They get stuff wrong when they jump the gun too early sometimes. Stuff changes all the time. I only trust Mike Reese and Justin Ramos.
Justin Ramos. If he tweeted it, you can trust it.
Exactly. I mean, based off his reports, we've had so many wide receiver ones in the past few years. I mean, it's ridiculous. We're stacked with wide receiver talent based on all the rumors that he said is true. So, yeah, so that kind of answers the question as far as that goes. And then this is what we're gonna dive into the whole offseason. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna really dive deep into this blueprint. I would say, A, get an OC, preferably Kingsbury. Let's see what the results are. Bill O'Brien or Zach Robinson. You guys voted 47% for Kingsbury.
Woo! I convinced you all. Let's go.
29% Bill O'Brien, 24% Zach Robinson. So preferably one of those three. Get a new OC. Hopefully Kingsbury. Oh, we just got a couple more votes. Kingsbury, go get DeAndre Hopkins, draft the tackle or corner in the first round, and then take the other one in the second, whichever one you don't draft. That's my main steps. Those are the big ones without really diving too deep into it yet, because we got a whole month or two to do that before the draft, or 3 months or 4 months. Oh my God, the draft is forever away. So
sadly,
that's my main plan right there. I think that would put
lots
us
of
in
mock
such
drafts
a better
though.
spot. We will have a lot of mock drafts. I hope you guys like mock drafts, because I don't know how many of you guys were here last year, but we love ourselves some mock drafts.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think nothing can be set in stone until the OC gets figured out. And then once you bring in whoever it is, you figure out what he wants to do, what you want to do as a team, where you want your offense to go, what direction you want it to be, who you want there. So I think that it does get resolved relatively quick, kind of like Carlos and Marilyn says. Like, they're going to start interviewing at the beginning of next week, ideally at the end of next week, maybe the start of the week after that, at latest 2 weeks, right? But I really do believe if Bill's making this announcement that there's got to be a pool that he's drawing from. And I think there's going to be some in-house interviews. Obviously, I think Nick Colley or someone might get one. I don't know if he's being considered, but I think that he knows who he's going to narrow it down to already. So
can you imagine they're like, we didn't have an OC last year. We're going to be interviewing Matt Patricia and Joe Judge to take over the
they weren't officially our offensive coordinators.
Exactly.
So.
Oh my God. When I saw the report that we were part of the coaching staff for
the Shrine Bowl.
The Shrine Bowl, and it said you cannot have a change in offensive coordinator if I was like, oh, there's no way that we're running it back with Matty P. And then obviously it's technically we don't have an OC, so that'd be fine. So
yeah, and that's another thing that should give Patriots fans hope, is that it's got to be finalized by the Shrine Bowl, which is February 2nd, right? Is that when it is? No, it might. I think it's the week of the Super Bowl. So, but anyways, it will be finalized the 1st of February. Hopefully, it doesn't take that long, but it will. It's got to be, because they're coaching in the Shrine Bowl. So that will be something that we can look forward to. So,
yeah.
This is a good comment right here. I'm going to actually put this in my phone right now.
Maybe one podcast we can send you guys our mock drafts and you guys can review / discuss them. That'd be fun. That would be fun. That's a great idea, Carlos.
We did
a version of that last year where we were on the clock and we put up a poll and you guys voted on it, and we would put up 4 different players and you guys would pick which player, and we did a draft where you guys drafted the entire thing. So I think that'd be fun to do again. I think that's a great idea though, Carlos. And we could maybe have you guys on as a little quick thing as well, and you could send a picture in and whatever. So I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, we'll for sure do that. We talked about having you guys call in. We can share our link in the chat, and then you guys can click on it and you can just join audio. We can pull you in, kind of like the Patriots Undisputed does and stuff. And we'd love to hear your guys' voices too throughout the mock draft season and stuff. So we'll experiment with some of these cool things. And it'll be exciting. Hopefully there's exciting news to react to. If there's ever breaking news and we ever go live, we can have some of you guys click that link again and come in and just tell us how excited you are, instead of just pulling up your guys' things on the chat. So we have a lot of things in store, lots of clips we're going to talk about, and hopefully start posting those regularly, along with weekly, if not multiple times a week, lives with mock drafts, with breaking news, whether it's offensive coordinator, free agency signing, stuff like that. So continue to hit that like button, subscribe, comment anything, tell a friend about our podcast so we can just have more and more of these conversations. We see a lot of you guys returning. Jermaine, MA football guy, Ashton, Carlos, Marilyn, thanks for tuning in. We haven't seen you before. Comment, we're happy you're here. Luke, we remember you coming back. This is good.
I think Marilyn's been in before. I feel like
she
I've
has
seen that, I think, a couple times. Yeah,
some of them just don't ring a bell in my head. So if you've been in here, thanks for coming back. If you're new, thanks for joining us. Whatever you are, we're
Red
excited.
Patriot 99.
Yeah, Red Patriot. So
just about everybody who's tuned in tonight is here most of the time. Some people pop in and out. Boston headlines gone forever. I mean, maybe
Pat
he'll be
Scout
back someday.
IG came back in.
I saw that he popped in for the beginning of it, I think, right?
Gabe's been a slacker.
Yeah. We're gonna have to give him some shit for that. We'll have to talk to him about that. But email mock drafts. Yeah, we'll do something like that. We'll set up an email you guys can send that to or something. We'll figure something out for sure. So keep
Email,
coming. If you guys have
Instagram.
ideas like that, just don't hesitate to throw them out here because it's the off season. We got time on our hands to do all these fun things with you guys and really jump into it. So if you guys have any ideas, shoot them our way. DM us on Instagram, preferably do it on here so we can see it. But as always, we appreciate all you guys tuning in. Carlos, Red Patriot 99, MA Football Guy, all you guys. So that's all I got. You got anything else?
No, I thank you guys for tuning in. Excited. Exciting news. Hopefully we have some exciting news next week when we go live. Most of our lives, and we'll talk about this too, probably Wednesday or Thursday. Get this Devers crap out of here. You already heard them. They said they don't like baseball. Get this out of here. So hopefully, if you guys are available Wednesday or Thursday nights, occasionally Tuesday, but again, follow us on Instagram, which is under our photos right here. You guys can follow us there, and then we can you can follow us for when we go live. Turn on post notifications, anything like that, and you'll figure it out. And you'll be able to come rock with us. Oh, this is new. I like this. This is going to be our happy dance once we sign DeAndre Hopkins and get Cliff Kingsbury.
When we trade for D-Hop, that's it right there.
Yep. So, all right. Well, that's about it for us. So you can take us out, Cole.
All right. Yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will let you know when the next episode is, doing some clips, all that good stuff. So until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.